Nikita,
Yes, ma'am.
be ready. So I was going to join. Bhuchan sir,
और जो गर्विदा है उसको डाले तो तेरी झलक शर्फी
महेंद्र
hello. Soumya sir, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
A very hearty good morning to all. On behalf of IS University Bhopal, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, I, Nikita Patel, welcome all the dignitaries and participants. IS University webinar on the topic Accelerator Incubation, Opportunity for Students and Faculty's Early Stage Entrepreneurship. I would like to extend our heartiest welcome to our guest speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Soumya Chatterjee, sir. Before we commence with today's program, I would like to present a brief description of IS University. IS has been in the field of education for the past 20 years and has been endorsed as the most promising university of Central India, providing education from nursery to doctor level. IS University is well known for its excellence in overall development-based education of students to facilitate skill building, entrepreneurship development, and creation of leading professions. IS University keeps on taking such initiatives for the continuous development of both the students and faculties. We are thankful to Engineer V.S. Yadav, sir, Honorable Chancellor, IS University, for his generous presence and who has always encouraged and motivated by his never-ending hard work, passion, foresight, and vision for the education system. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Soni, ma'am, to present a welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nikita. A very good morning to all the dignitaries and the participants of today's webinar. This webinar is related with to accelerate and to accumulate the opportunity of opening the entrepreneurs and this. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. Soumya Chatterjee sir. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Chancellor Sir Engineer B.S. Yadav sir, who provide us with such an opportunity to widen our knowledge horizon. I'm sure that this webinar will be profitable, and for the next 1 hour will be exciting and fruitful for everyone. Nikita.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, it's my pleasure and honor to introduce our eminent guest speaker for today's workshop, Mr. Soumya Chatterjee, sir. Sir is an owner of Genuine Personality, currently working as a Scrum Master in MS, Quiz Crop Limited, Pune, Maharashtra, India. He has completed his BTech degree from West Bengal and PG Diploma in Embedded System and Design, PG from Pune. He has 10 years of working experience and has area of interest are data analytics, business analysis, and design. Over the year, he had acquired the techno-managerial skill set. It would be a right to say that he is an technopreneur by nature. He is also involved in young minds and setups in their entrepreneurship journey. Welcome to IS, sir. It's a privilege to have you present in the workshop. I would now request you to please commence with the session. Over to you, sir.
Very good morning, and thanks for giving me the opportunity here, and lovely introductions. So
welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Just I would like to first share my screen. So the audience here are basically from computer science background.
All the students, electrical, electronics, computer science.
And
even MTech students are there and faculties are also connected.
okay, thank you, thank you. Okay. Is my screen has been shared?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
visible.
Okay. Thank you. Before I start this session, means I would like to start this session with an very story of an entrepreneur. I would like to know from the audience, when you move from one city to another city, what is the most important things that you look for? Can anybody say me, means when you move from one city and to another city, what is the most important needs for you? Anyone?
Yes, students. So I was asking something.
Sir, I think vehicle.
Okay, that's true. Apart from that,
Way.
Somebody is saying money. Deepak Kumar was saying money.
that's true. That's true. That money is always required, but money is required even in the city also. But specific to when you move to another. Okay. Uh, Let me rephrase the question. When you move to another city, you have already moved in. What is the most important thing that, or the first thing that you will be looking for?
Knowledge about that city.
Okay, that's true.
Information about that city.
Okay.
And having a knowledge of great entrepreneurs of that city. And we are calculating the height of the topest building of that city.
Okay, that's
Shortest
true.
part to reach.
Shortest path. No, you have already reached the city, the next
Okay,
city.
after reaching the city. Okay. Then searching the first of all, we have to search the place where we have to stay.
Yes, that's true, ma'am. That's very true. So the first thing that you will be looking out here will be the hotels. If it is means if you do not have anybody there in that city, where to live, where to stay. And the story of this entrepreneur or the I will be talking about, can anybody guess? Do you any idea? Very famous personality. And I'm very much sure most of you will have used his services some way or the other. No? Okay, let me then come to the point. It's about Oyo rooms. Have you heard of this Oyo rooms? Right? So the why I have chosen this story about the Oyo rooms is reason for being that he becomes the first youngest billionaire. And pre-COVID, even right now, even if you look out, the net worth of Ritesh Agarwal, who is the founder of this Oyo Room, is
Yeah,
about.
somebody has written the message. Deepak Kumar has written the name of Ritesh Agarwal.
Yeah, thank you. The Ritesh Agarwal.
Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you, Deepak.
Uh, has a net worth of about 1.1 billion US dollar. And what he has done, the story of his life, that he was in the technologies learning like all this stuff at the age of 10. And but the other point of his, he was not at all interested in studies. So his father, he comes from a very middle class family background, so his father wanted him to study, but he doesn't wanted to study. So at the age of around 13-14, he went to some Varanasi, and this place. Uh, Apart from where Varanasi, the place that is near UP, in UP, I'm not remembering the place. Harkipuri, I'm not recalling the place. If anybody could,
Harkipuri.
uh, it's like Varanasi only. I'm not remembering the place exactly. Means I'm not able to recall that place. It is Kasi is one is that, and another is okay. Some places in Rishikesh and near Rishikesh. Uh,
Harkipuri.
yeah, Harkipuri. There was a special like river Ganga was there. Uh, so let me search it out. I'll just let you know. In the meanwhile, when he reached that place, he searched for the hotels. And when Oyo was not there, we all cannot afford, means able to afford, the normal human beings, normal Indians, the middle class Indians cannot afford the five-star facilities or even a decent facilities to be lived. So it's a nightmare to book a hotel, find an hotel, and the hygienes of the hotel. So what they have done it. They have done simple thing that they have around 50,000 rupees of their saved the Ritesh saved pocket money. So what he has done, he has invested that for 40 or 50,000 rupees and buy all the basic stuffs like whatever you get uh, in OYO rooms and renovated one room of a hotel, and they negotiated it with them like saying that okay, I will renovate this room for you, and if somebody comes and stay in this room, you pay me this much and this percentage of payment will be you, and I will uh, try to fill that rate. Now when they went into that, means when the guest comes in and when they experience the facilities in this room, they had an enormous uh, very good feedbacks. Then that triggers that okay, now this is an opportunity. If it could do it for one, then they have to scale up. So now he prepared a business plan. He moved to the some other cities. They scale up the business to about 100 200 people's. When they are scaling, they are just not going to hotels. They were also going to normal people's normal residencies where you rent a room of your. They have some checklists of quality standards, and if you have to maintain that quality standard, you go and sign the contract documents with them, and then they will be lease that property as an hotels for you, and they will manage all that. Now while they were running it, what the name they have given it to at that period of time is called bed and breakfast. So they used to also provide the bed and breakfast. Now what once they have conceptualized this idea, what they have done is they move for an incubations. They apply for an incubation of a program in Silicon Valley. Now that was sponsored by Stanford University, and once they have pitched, there means they have gone for an 12-week program of an incubation where Ritesh got some internship there, trainings there, and later Ritesh pitched that idea after the training to potential investors. And from there, they started a brand called Oyo, which is considered as one of the best hotels or the largest chains of hotels in the world. Uh, Sorry. Okay. Uh, so as of now, there is some issues because of COVID and the post-COVID, as every travel industry has been hit up. So that is one of my first story that gives you a motivations regarding. And apart from this, I will also like to share two more stories. Uh, how many of you have heard the name Cassandra? Anybody? No. Okay. How many have you heard the name called Irfan Alam? None? Okay. Then brief me regarding these two personalities. Now, uh, Cassandra has been famously known as an MBA Sabjiwala. And Cassandra and Irfan Alam, both of them are an IIM Ahmedabad graduate. Cassandra was a BCom, and most probably the Irfan Alam is also from BCom. It's has done an MBA, but the bachelors are on BCom. Now, I would also like to share the stories of these two persons. Uh, now, the reasons that I am sharing this stories to you to set and stage and try to understand the what actually is entrepreneurship. For example, if entrepreneurship is just not about glamours, or it's just not about making $1 billion. Uh, yeah, it's good that if you could make it $1 billion, but there are many things more than that. Uh, First, the Cassandra, as both of them are from IIM graduate, the Cassandra was given at the time of the placement from IIM Ahmedabad a package of about 1 crore. And I'm not talking of the time period of this. It is about 10-15 years back. Even at that point of time, I was also in school. So uh, I read the story about at that point of time. And the background of Cassandra. Cassandra's mother was a street vegetable vendor. So somebody who who sell the who do not have the proper shop also of brick and mortar, even a rented shop. So they used to sell the vegetables in the street, and their parents have sacrificed a lot, and somehow Cassandra cracked the examinations and went to IIM Ahmedabad. And remember, from that background, when Cassandra came, he was being offered a salary of about 1 crore. So he rejected it. And even at that point of time, it was to study in IIM Ahmedabad was costing a fees of about nearly 15-16 lakhs per annum. So near about, it will be approximately about a 20 lakhs of investments to get his MBA. So you can think of amount of risks that he has taken. So he rejected that offer, and what he has done after that, he wanted to sell vegetables and try to improve entire supply chain of the vegetable directly from farmers to the consumers, means to the end users. During this process, he innovated and streamlined the processes. And what innovation he has done, how he started, what he has done, he made a cart for himself from where he used to sell the vegetables. So the innovation that he has done, that he has inbuilt refrigerator in his cart. So you can imagine a cart like that of ice creams, quality ice creams. Many people in the street sells ice creams in a cycle cart. Many of you have seen that. So he made some same thing. It's just only thing that he used to keep the vegetables in it. So what happens when housewives or anybody who wanted to come, they get the fresh vegetables, and also the vegetables were cheaper. So he has done his research from where to procure and how to, and the shelf life of his vegetables were also long enough. So wastage is lost in vegetable market or in business. The wastage is one of the great hits. So he has cut down on that, and he is doing good with one card, but that doesn't satisfy his appetite. So he applied for a loan for making multiple parts and scale up their businesses. And he went to State Bank of India, and the State Bank of India rejected his offers. And soon, after many rejections and he got some fundings. Also from his savings only, he generated many more cards, like patiently waited for 1 year, 2 years. So income from the first card, second card. And right now, he is been selling his vegetable he is from Patna, so Bihar. So he's selling, and Bihar is one of the major vegetable producing state. So he's selling the vegetable to West Bengal. He's selling the vegetable from to Jharkhand, and he's selling the vegetable to other parts of India. So the entire has been it's kind you can consider is like an exporting the entire vegetable and giving a thousands of people an employee. So that is the second story. And he is right now the chairman of Bihar Chamber of Commerce, giving advices to the chief ministers about the industrial policies and other stuffs and the economic development. So he has done his job in his way. Now I tell the another story of Irfan Alam. Irfan Alam has appeared. He was a stock market consultant at the age of 30, and uh, done again an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He participated in an event called Business Bazigar that has happened at the time of 2006 or 2010, near about at that point of time. I'm not remembering exactly the time frame. No, it's 2006. Yeah. And he was eliminated. It is like a reality show. So he was eliminated in the middle of the, and there were few of the contestants who were given a wildcard entry. He again came back in the final day and as a wildcard entry. And for amount he was getting was asking as a 50 lakhs. Very small amount for startups when you ask for a funding. And because of his idea, he won the competition. And after that, what was happened is he was a part of CII community in many of the organizations, like in the state level and as well as. His story was published in a government textbook of class 12, most probably, in Kerala. He is serving Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. He is an alumni and guest expression not only in India. He is considered as an alumni of Harvard University, Ivy Pro Leagues, the top business schools, and where he used to give as a mentor out there. And most importantly, when if you could remember in 2010, when President Obama visited India, he was specially invited to meet him. He was again invited in a White House in a time of celebration of Diwali. And having said that, all about Irfan Alam, this much, what the business idea of it? Very simple. Many of you have heard or have seen a cycle rickshaw. I'm not talking of an auto rickshaw. I'm just talking of the cycle rickshaw. He just modified that cycle rickshaw so that he could provide a newspaper, mineral water, phone recharge in that cycle rickshaw. That's it. And made an uniform for the cycle rickshaw people. Because of this idea, the cycle rickshaw puller, the normal, they have increased their revenue by 20-30%. And more than a revenue increase, they got a very dignified life. Because of this, his foundation, he has named his foundation as a Samman Foundation, and he do this business, and moreover, he is not incubated anywhere. He was not raised capital anywhere, and he is profitable in his business. Most important thing. So you can see like Amazon and another lot of companies in this in when you read about startups, they will be like making billions of dollars of losses, um, and his business was a a cash positive business, is a profitable business, and definitely a very encouraging, means motivating businesses. So I will, the reasons that I have shared these stories, like it's not just about only about a money when you do a business or move into an entrepreneurship. The main criteria is why you wanted to do a entrepreneurship. So there are a lot of other things, and there's a lot of other formulas that is involved in this entrepreneurship. Another before I wanted to move to this question, move to the slides and explain you all the aspects of the entrepreneurships, I just wanted to ask one question. Can anybody tell me what type of company is McDonald's? And I'm not asking of the Clicker company. Can anybody tell me what kind of company it is? McDonald's means in which industry they serves? How will you uh, how do you classify that company? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so can anybody tell me, put me into the chat, or
Yes, sir was asking some question. Give a chat.
no? At least think of it. Successful food supplies,
Successful
fast
food
fast food.
supply company was written by
Okay,
Neha and Abhishek Kumar.
okay. You all have means visited McDonald's, isn't it? Some point or weekly, somebody will have gone weekly also, hang out there with friends. Okay, but my answer is no, they are not a food company or a fast food company. Think about it. I will answer this question at the end, and you will be amazed to know what type of company it's. And I have asked this question deliberately to it's not like what you see, something that you don't see is the reality. So McDonald's is not a food or fast food company. It's a wrong conception. So any company will be either private limited or public limited. That's okay. But I want to know in which sector they operate. The inceptions, like some, what I mean, the way you are answering the question the first way, like it is a fast food company or it is a uh, uh, mining company or something, agricultural company. I want the answer in this, in which sector they operate and what, how you classify this company. So if you could answer that question, that would be very nice. Otherwise, at the end, I will be answering this question too. So before uh, I begin with the slides, so I hope you find these three stories very interesting, to let you know what entrepreneurship is all about and how it's, what are the other aspects of it. So let me next slide. Okay. First of the thing is that when there are different types of entrepreneurs, so you can classify or about different types of entrepreneurs in n number of ways. But to be an entrepreneur, you have to have 8 different types of qualities, like opportunity grabber, whatever that qualities that you wanted to you are seeing in this screen. So I will not go in details of everything because they are very much self-explanatory here. So I will not means read it out all the points out here. So you can understand. Uh, if you have any query regarding this, you can just ping. You can just question me regarding that. Uh, the most important thing is that opportunity and the understanding of right time to enter into the market at that point of time. Sometime if you enter into the, you find you just the entry of some industry early, then you won't be much successful. For example, like online marketing or all like online activity, if you do it at say 1990s in India, I'm not talking of US, but in India, then you might not be very much successful because in internet penetration has happened after 2000 in India, and the rapid explosion happens after Geo. So you can see right now all the internet-based companies are mushrooming in India. But if you enter into the market at not right time, that will not do it. Some of them are like legacy career. They are the fortunate ones. So let's not talk about them. Like the parents have it. Most of the people out here or the audiences I will be talking out here will be the first generation entrepreneurs. So now the another kind of entrepreneur are like an accidental entrepreneur. Uh, for example, Mark Zuckerberg was an accidental. He didn't invented this Facebook because he wanted to invent this Facebook. He made something out of hobby, and it clicked. It becomes success. These are called as an accidental entrepreneur. You made it. Uh, and some of the like innovators like Edison's and other people who invent things, and uh, and after they invent some products, they sell into the market and then become an entrepreneur. One of them are the part-time entrepreneurs. Like, let me try it out, my hands on entrepreneurship, and I tell you, the entrepreneurship is not an part-time job. To be successful at to be successful in anything, you need a dedication. Okay. So what do entrepreneurs do? There are a lot of definition. Now if you go with a definition, n number of people will give you n number of things, but the basic thing is that he's a manager. He has a venture, and he will be doing managing the steps of his idea to the people. So it's an entrepreneurship. So even a job person can be an entrepreneur. If you wanted to try something new and do it, it's also an entrepreneurship. So you manage everything. So a kind of a manager, an entrepreneur is. uh, Now I will be saying it, uh, talking about in startups. You understand what entrepreneur is, you understand what business is, you understand what company is, but can you just tell me what is in startup? Is it a gimmick term, or is it a really a something different from company? Is anything difference between a startup and a company? Any clarity on that? Can any clarity on that? What is startup? Means, after all, we are talking all about startups only, the accelerator, incubators. These all terms are coming only from the startup worlds. So, do you have any idea what exactly it's? How is startup different from a traditional businesses? Okay, I take your silence as no. So here you can also again see a lot of definitions, but the most important of them was Steve Ball. Steve Ball is an MBA professor in Stanford University, and he defines a startup is a temporary organization in search of scalable and replicable business model. So any business model that has not been matured, and to test and validate that business model, you set up an organization definitely to validate it. And then that organization is considered to be a Steve Ball. Now you will be saying, why I'm going into all this theoretical definition. It's only because startup has something different from a company. First, a company or a startup company, normally companies are not very innovative. Startups are. Startups solves problem. Company do the normal businesses. Company are like, they are not growth oriented. Startup are growth oriented. Startup is very risky. Companies are not so risky. And if you start up a company, the team size could be big, but normally startup size of the company are less than 100 peoples, or started normally with 10, 15 peoples or 5 peoples, sometimes even with 1 peoples also. So these are the, now from this slide, what you can see here, like there are different types of startups. Large company startups. Now, large company startups means like Flipkart. Flipkart is a kind of a startup. They are not making money as of now, but they are very large, billion and billion dollars of a valuation. Scalable startup, like which are as of now very small, but they have a immense scalability, so they are scaling up. So they are scale up. Small startups. Now the stories that I have talked about, when they started the organizations, these are all small startups. They are not scalable startups. They are not very big companies, so they are not what we call it a very large startup, because you can understand a small startup is just opposite of large startups, large company startups. And this is called a viable startups. Now this is important, like what is viable startup? Some business models or some startups are not at all sustainable, but they started their business only to sell that company. So they make a market hype of this company, they make all the good names out of company, and then they sell it. And when they sell it, they make a lot of money out of it. So that is also one of the kind of startups. The people build it not to run that company for a very long time. If you are indulged in lifestyle products, then your startup will be called as a lifestyle startup. If you are in media, then media startup. So according to category in which, or the industry in which you operate, the names can be there. And there is a social startup. Now the story that I have told you about these Cassandra and Irfan Alam, they are solving the social issues, and and still they are profitable and making money. So they are not a non-government organization. Secondly, they are sustainable. So these type of startup models are called as in social startups. Okay. Now question comes, if we can run a business in a traditional business, why should we start up? Means if you try something new, very risky, God knows what will happen. And why the government is also pushing, or the country or everybody is talking all about startups. Uh, why they are not going through a traditional conventional path of making money? There are 3-4 factors involved in it. The amount of wealth it generates. Uh, for example, if you could look into this graph, there is a graph of a break even at an innovation. So once normal industry or a big large industry have a problem of creativity, because they have a set of their own legacy. So their legacy is only their biggest challenge. So what for taking approval, they are not very lean and agile in their approach. So what they do is that they sponsored small income, small companies. They give money, fund money, and to innovate products, to bring out innovations. Because everything in the marketing company, from product to services to a brand to a company, everybody has its life. So once you grow up to a certain extent, then if you do not innovate, you won't able to survive. The market needs changes, the society needs changes, and overall society also needs development. So to fuel that and to make more money out of it, uh, then there will be a innovation needed. And what is innovation? Innovation is the one of the most prime ingredient for in startups. So if you don't innovate, you are not starting up, you are doing some traditional businesses. uh, Even a traditional simple businesses has lot of innovations. Innovation can, it should not be a technical innovation, it could be any innovations. uh, so so this is the reason, because when you innovate, you generate a wealth out of it. So that is the phases of the wealth, and it has been done by the Michael E. Potter. So he is a very well known competitive market research person uh, in finance. Now, if you all have an, if you are here, then you are some interest about starting up, then how you should start up. Uh, First of all, you should have some idea, definitely, then only. The another problem is like, if your idea sees it light or not, like you are motivated enough to work on it, not. So you work on that idea. If something fruitful brings to you, then you show it to some people. If they people like it, then you more improvise it. Then you have some belief systems in you, like yes, it will work or not work. When you have that believe in yourself that it, yes, it will be work, then you can more validate it and reach to more people's, make more innovation it. And when people will, when they will start resulting, growing and resulting some fruitful yields, then it will means you will embrace that result and you will gain them. So it's a long journey from inception of your idea to uh, overall embracing of or taking a fruitful out of it. So this is uh, how the even government also uh, also thinks of startups. And this slide is basically from Startup India only, that has been our flagship program of the government of India. And now this is the slide that I have actually already talked all about. So how it is just not only for the startups. This is for every organization, even in traditional businesses. And definitely for traditional businesses, you have an idea that is called a seed stage, where you just have an idea. Then you form an organization, build a team, work on your idea, make a prototype, make a MVPs. Uh, that is the phase of a startup. Now that at these phases, the companies are called startup. Once they validated their idea, then they go for an growth. After at it, then they don't go for an organic growth. They should go for an organic growth. They should not go for inorganic growth. That means they should not rapidly expand. If they find it like, okay, this has happened, this is my idea is correct, everything is liking it, they should not expand it very much. Otherwise, when if you do an inorganic growth and if you are not very skillful in handling it, then you will face the issue. After you established, make a reasonable growth, establish, then after having stayed some time of it, then you expand to different geographies, different locations. After expansion, then you more mature, means you make more expansion, or you mature your product, like uh, you fine tune your operations, you make your standard operating procedures, you operate more cleverly in more optimized way, and then you finally make an exit. Because the see, if any investments that has been done on startup, they want it money back. So it is needed to be exit is always uh, the exit is always required for any organizations. And in many of the or B business planning or the B school students, they make a plan of of their businesses, but they don't make their exit plan, and that is one of the most uh, big mistake that they make. When you make a plan of your business, you should, because all of your potential investors are also interested in the exit of it. You can think of this like if anybody buys a stock market in a equity, a share, will you hold it till your lifetime, or you will make a good amount of money at a right time and sell it and then reinvest that money or use that money, whatever your choices were. So that is, now what I was talking about is this, the transitions. What startup differentiate between the startup and the company? The startup business model are scalable, and startup business model are innovative. It could be repetitive, yes, because if it is not repetitive, it cannot be scalable. And then you make a transition from a temporary company to a final organization where processes are more streamlined and optimized. First of all, if you try to do the things in an optimized way in a first go only, you will never be a successful. So never try out this mistake. Make a small moves, make a small company, test your idea, validate your idea, whatever the idea is, and then slowly, your company also matures. So, and the time period for this type of activity is nearly about 5 to 10 years. 5 years, you can consider to be minimum. And yeah, to really, if you are doing really well, then you are moving into good stages. Then you have to go to the 20 10 years, 10 to 15 years times. At the 15 years, if it's not happening, then either something wrong with your company product or yourself, because you are, or your team, you are not doing the things correctly. The 15 years is the benchmark, industry benchmark, like to transition from a startup to a traditional company. So every company that started as a startup will be a normal company after 15 years. So you can't consider that company as a startup uh, 15 years down the line. Now I will be talking of, I talked about why startup, like because of innovation, lot of wealth creation, what you saw in Michael Porter's. So what type of funding that has received in last 2021 only, because last year. and uh, at what stages. I will be talk like early stage, growth stage, late stage, and a pre-IPO stage. So you can see uh, very, very big funding is at growth stage and at the late stage. Definitely in the beginning stage or beginning stage, nobody would like to very much invest relatively. I will show that figures also to you how much. So this is all done of this figure is of Indian market. It's not of the entire world. Um, why it has been termed in $1 million? Because normally in startup community, whenever the funding comes, uh, major of the fundings are from the NRIs and the FDIs. So that's the reason they are they talk about in dollars, and that is the reason also that government is also wanted to push startup industries in India, so that the more foreign investments come, because if money doesn't come from outside to India, how the development will happens. uh, so this is one of the reason. And uh, post when we, and overall the most of the venture capitalists or the fundraisers, they are definitely outside based. So they have their offices are here, and they have brought the cultures of the startup culture is first started in United States, and from there we have reinitiated it, and most of the startups are also US, like in copy clone. uh, so that's the reason. And in early stages of the businesses, the funds are like in 100,000, 1 million, 2 million. So we will talk about majorly about the funding part that you will be, I think, the most interested in. What how to get fundings, and what is incubations and accelerations, all about that. So this is so they means valuating $1 million. Now in recently, if you look here, uh, just a minute, the cities where the startups and scenario of an startups. So if you could, the breakup, I have provided you the informations like till 2019 out of here, because this is what I have able to acquire. After that, there was 2 years of COVID. However, there was a lot of disruption has happened during the COVID period. I will be talking about that, but majorly this startup is located primarily in the 3-4 people places. The first one is Delhi, because it's Delhi is like government controlled, so all the government policies and the big powerhouses are situated there. Mumbai being the financial capital, you get it. The startup ecosystems are very much strong in Mumbai, Pune area. And the Pune, the Pune is not mentioned here, but yeah, it's Pune. When we talk about Mumbai, the Pune also comes in, because real estate prices or the facilities in Mumbai is right now crowded. However, uh, the large corporate houses are there in Mumbai, so the Mumbai is the first choice. Operational places of startup is Pune, where the new startup hubs or parks and technology parks are there. Then comes the Bangalore, and I think Bangalore, nobody has any problem. Apart from this, there is other places like that has a significant input that is not shown in this slide is Hyderabad. Now, so these are the 3-4 places where you should be there if you wanted to start up. definitely after doing your all of your homeworks. And you can also see the different areas or the sectors in which the startup is happening. So large amount is SAS. No, how do you know SAS? SAS? Sorry. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Do you know SAS? Is the students I'm talking.
Yes, students. So
You
I
know
was asking
SAS?
something.
No. Means many of you are engineers, so I expected this that you might be aware of SAS. SAS. No idea. Okay.
Service.
Sorry.
Software as a service.
Service. Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Uh,
I thought that you are talking about entrepreneurship. That's why I'm not too.
no, they. I
Yours is
here
in a software as a service.
services. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you use most of the startups are based on the software as services. You might be heard of like Zoho.
Hmm.
So Zoho is basically any and all the like softwares that you use, online version softwares like as a platforms is a software as a services that people uses it. So the majority of it goes in the software sector. The majority chunk has been taken by like software, services, healthcare, and banking and insurance, that
Yeah.
is fintech, sir. And later comes like the other sectors. Uh, Now, reason I'm sharing is that where you find the less opportunity is the opportunity where you can go. Because many times when you think of ideas for your startups, you will find within scenario like, okay, this has been done, this has been done, this has been done. So where should I focus? What I should? And you wanted to do startup, then you should try out where there is not much has been done. And you can get this information from the slides like the statistically very few of the things has happening on agricultural domain or travel or food tech. Yeah, there is a food tech, Zomato and other stuff, but agriculture is one of the prime. Industrial manufacturing is very less is happening and great opportunity out there. But yeah, it's a cost labor intensive and cost intensive. But if you can develop any application for industrial sectors, then that's also a very nice thing. You can try it out. Okay. Now, many of this slide for many of the people, you might be very much interested on knowing, okay, in which startup. So one of the criteria for selecting your startups, I told you the type of startup that is happening out uh, in different sectors. Now, how much fundings they are receiving or the valuation that they are going. For example, you create a startup. Now, depending upon the performance, how the company operate, the valuation increases of the startup. Valuation increases means the total value, how much they value the company in terms of money. So you can again see the growth that is happening is in fintech. The growth is enormous in edtech and SaaS. So, so this chart will give you an idea how and how the growth is happening. And uh, have heard of any term D2C? Any students out there know what is D2C? Okay, D2C. I will be talking of D2C and other things later, but let me explain out here only D2C. D2C is direct to consumers. So if you have any product or any services, uh, you can directly sell it from an online platform. Instead of going to Amazon, you can also use Amazon as a second channel, Flipkart as a third channel. But you, let's say you are selling a t-shirt. Now, if you are a company or startup of a t-shirt, uh, Now, this is also like bewakoof.com. Many of you have known it. They sell a very good quality t-shirts with a lot of write-ups, which appeals to a lot of youngster. So instead of selling it to in Amazon, or you can sell it in Amazon, but you also have your own portal from where you directly customer comes in, so that you save a amount of margin that you lose of marketplaces in Flipkarts and Amazon, and you are directly reaching to your customer. Now these type of business models are called considered as an D2C business models, or called as a direct to customer business models. So you can try it out. Online gaming like MPL and other gaming apps. So if you can, there are many, think of startups that you can think of as like an educational gaming app that may target to schools and colleges. So if you make an gaming app, and now you don't need to make an all app of yourself. Let's say if you make any game and app in social platforms like Facebook. uh, Many of you have like Candy Crush games. Now, Candy Crush is separate entity, not a Facebook entity. So the Candy Crush team, they also make money because, and they are launching the Candy Crush games in Facebook. So there are a lot of things like Sudoku. You can make a Sudoku games in, and think of like these types of products as your like final year projects. So if you think of like building them some products as a uh, as your final year project, and then later turn it into company, most probably the most used and the most top rated companies of the world is Google. Google was an PhD project of two founders of it. They found it, they are doing their research in Stanford, and then they found it that it could be of great importance to community. And what they have done is they make $1 billion and $1 trillion of companies. So I don't need to tell you about what Google is and how valuable Google is in monetary term also. Now, if you look, there is something lot is happening in the next interesting in next three, especially in India. If you could look into the chart here, now this chart is of deal count and the value. The bar graph is the value, and the line graph is a deal count. So in the last quarter of 2021, the funding value, the total funding value that has been gone in the startup world is about $10.9 billion. And how many startups they have funded? They're 347. So what I wanted to say from, and this is a report from PwC, which is a well-known research company or market research company of the world, I will say. The most important part you will see there is abrupt rise. Abrupt rise in 2021. And if you can see it, the pattern is from the 20 in the financial year of 2020. So why this is happening even in the time of COVID? Because the world has realized that we have to innovate, number one. Second reason of it is that we need to, Indian government of India has made lot of initiative in financial policies and making very good uh, intellectual uh, resource available in our country. So they wanted to harness this resource by making there a lot of try to attract the foreign investors. They come up, they find that Indian brains are really smart brains. They invest the money so that they can also counter China. So that's also one of the reason, and we are trying to become a $5 billion industry overall as a GDP. To reach that, we need to have approximately we are expecting that in by 2025, India will be harnessing 250 unicorns. As of now, we have 100 unicorns. I will tell you what is that. Now, these are the most important, or what we call it, might be knowing all the familiar names. These are the most highly funded startups. And like 1.3 for the Swiggy. Now Swiggy has been merged with with the other startups. Uh, Oyo I talked about. Now there is a one important story you will understand about Byju's. Every one of you have seen the ad of a Byju's, right? And you will be very proud to know. Let me tell you what you will understand. Can you understand this slide? In the educate sector, the world's most valued edutech company is Byju's. So even Udemy, Coursera, another all companies are far behinding us. So if anybody says to you, like, we in any sectors we are very good at in startup, like US is only producing companies like Google, Facebook, and we are not able to produce. In edutech we do. We have a Byju's, and it's valued around 10.5. It's a unicorn company. And uh, here also one important slides that I will be like to tell you. Like, first of all, I wanted to tell you what's unicorn is. Any organization or any startup, uh, not organization, the startups. Any startup that has a value of $1 billion is considered a unicorn. And there were from 2011 to 2020, 37 unicorns. The names you can see. And in 1 year, there were rise of 44 we become unicorns in 2021. And by the time of April 2022, we reach a mark of 100 unicorn company. And by 2025, we will be having about 250 unicorn companies in startup sectors. So lot is happening out here. So I think it's the best time that you also think just not about just jobs, and also if you have some ideas of startups, then or you wanted to even a small business, it doesn't make any sense. That the reason I shared that story, that you don't need to be like Oyo, uh, Flipkart, Zomato. You can be like MBA Sabjiwala type of startups, and they are, I tell you, they are highly respectable, they are profitable, they are making more money. Okay, now let's talk about the startup. So all start with your idea and market research. So whenever, see, if you have an idea, it is not good enough. Means everybody, it's because when you start out, it's your dream, it's your baby. I may not like it, so I may not invest it, and you cannot force me to do so. So it's better to validate your idea. What you think may not be right or may not be market is ready to accept it. So you have to do a proper market research. When you do a proper market research, you have to take into account if the market is uh, big enough. Your product and services that you are offer are scalable enough or deliverable enough. You will find your potential. Then you make an MVP. MVP is minimum viable product. So you have to focus on two things. One is MVP and another is MMP. That is minimum marketable product. And it doesn't matter you do a startup or not. Even if when you come to a corporate sector, we work for corporates. I work for corporate. Uh, so our corporate do businesses, and when corporate do businesses, or as many of you are engineers who might be getting some job in IT firms or some other firms, you will be designing things or maintaining softwares or hardwares. You want to design a software and that company will pay for you as an engineer. But to do so, company is going to sell that product to their clients. You don't there will be a sales teams, and you will not make a product or services in one day or one night or 1 month. The team will, and there's a lot of people, lot of investments going on. So how they do a minimum viable product. So though they look into 3-4 aspects in MVP, they look about basic functionality, then the reliability of that functionality, then they look out the usability of that feature, and then they look UX of it, or like emotionally connecting that product and services to the client. Sometime what happens, if you think the things as a young entrepreneur, we also, when we are young, we used to also think it like that, like the feature that is most useful may not be successful. Many times you will come across a scenario when client will say you like, you should build this feature, you should apply. When you apply your product, that feature, that functionality, and relaunch that your product, final product feature with all that product, they might not use that feature or that functionality of your product, and later you will find it is no use. So go with small, increase it little bit, test and validate in a market. That is the most important part of startup, even in the normal businesses, normal job also. uh, Once you decided with your products, then comes like branding, incorporations, like you have to incorporate your. Now here I wanted to make, I have highlighted these two in red. The reason I have done so is because, see, if you have like 5 products or 10 products, how many of you, I will ask again a question. How many of you use Paytm? I think I should get the answer of this question at least.
36 are there.
Sorry,
36.
36. I'm sorry. Hello. Hello. How? Hello. Uh, I hope you all have used the Paytm, isn't it? You all know about Paytm.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just let me know uh, what is the name of the company. Any idea? Okay. It's not a Paytm. It's 197 communication. So when you go to the Paytm website, they have done lot of other services. 197 communication is also in related with India Mart website. So they used to give a consultancy, but many of you have not heard of 197 communication. You only know the Paytm, and that's, they want you to just know Paytm only. They have done it deliberately. Now this is because how they will going to position your product or market your product. So doing so, what they do is they register a trademarks. Now that's the part, like you incorporate your company and registering the trademark or the brand value, because that is what people going to remember. or focus on your brand, the brand identity. So so you have to decide on all this aspect and get it registered. Once you have done that registrations and all the paperwork, and how you are going to do that? First of all, you means, if I go into all that details, it will be again taking too long. So there are many websites you can ask any. It's just like an job of like uh, getting an PAN card. And what are the documents necessary? The major documents will be like GST number, shop license, if you are in food business, FASI license, and all of them you can get from India Feelings. And I'm not endorsing any of the websites. There are many websites where you go pay a little amount of fee, like 5,000, 10,000 rupees. You will get incorporated on all the documentation, and it takes about 1.5 months to get all the documents, papers, work, and all the incorporations that is required for you. Once you've done that, done with all this, and there will be people, you can take any help from a lawyer also. So that's all. Apart from that, once you have done with that, then you have to go and check to find out a good mentor. Now, who can be your mentor? Somebody who is in business or have a prior experience in startups, or very good from the A-listed universities or networks like angel investors, incubators. And here comes the incubator and accelerators. You have to find it out, because once you are, even if you are not all or not from family business family background, so you do not know how the tips, tricks, and all this part, how to operate and optimize the businesses. So a mentors um, are generally required, and it would be very good if your mentors are like some big shots. Big shots means like who are entrepreneurs itself, because they will just not guide you theoretically, they will actually help you. And one of the another idea of getting a mentor, because when you have a good mentor, you will get a network. And when you get a network, and networking is the most important to get clients and businesses out. So that's the reason you need a mentor to make and prepare a plan and strategy. And once you have done that, you need an office to workplace and to test your idea, prepare a POCs, that is proof of concepts. Then you apply for an incubation. Now, many of you will ask and apply for an incubation. Now, reason I am saying that, once it is not like you go and have book a sheet in an incubation. Incubation is not very easy to get. So incubation and accelerations are, it's also like in getting a chance, like giving, you will be shortlisted, you will be screened, you will be interviewed, and then you will be given a slot. Okay, I will be incubated. And incubation, I will say that on my personal behalf, like if you do not have any prior experience in businesses or in running an organization, then you should be going for an incubation. Because in incubation, you will be getting lot of things. You will be getting, I will talk more about incubation in the later slides, but you will get a tremendous help and boost in incubation phases. And then, and from that incubation phase only, you will be start getting funding. That is the most important part for every startup. Now, I have talked about MVP a lot. Now, whenever you do prepare an MVP, you have to do a persona mapping. Now, what is a persona mapping? Persona mapping is like making a what you think and what is actually is happening. So you have to think what is your potential customer is. What would be the most important features, who is going to use it, how they will be going to use it, what are their likes, what are their dislikes of your potential users. So you will be making this. So there are two type of questions that you have to asked. One is like on the selling side, one is on the buying side, right? Buying means making side. Now making side is all about different, you have to think of different scenarios of solving some problems or the characteristics of the peoples whom you are selling this product to. Because customer is the king, so you have to understand the psychology of the customer. So mapping down all the psychological decision making processes of your customer is all about a persona, how they will react. And some of your assumptions will be correct, some of your assumptions may not be correct. The customer can radically behave in different, unexpected and crazy manner than your expectations or logic. So many logics will not work here. So that's the reason MVPs are made, and then that is needed to be tested in real market environments so that you get a real stuffs. So USP that you might have been think of may not be the exact USP. The value that propositions that you are think of may not be a value propositions that you will be looking at. Now, there are, when you again think of your startup, the another thing that you wanted to think apart from personas are the value hypothesis and growth hypothesis. Now, value hypothesis is like what value your customer wants, why they will going to use this your product. So now you have a reason why you have made this, what is your USP of this product is, and how you are going to delivering that value to the customer. Now growth hypothesis is something very different. Any of the ingredient that is missing out here will not be making your startup successful. The growth hypothesis is all about you made a product, you made your, and you are selling it to the client. You can sell it to 2 clients, you can sell it to 3 clients, but when how you going to reach it to 10, 100,000 and 10,000 clients? So you have your growth of plan ready, that how you are going to reach to 10, from 10 to 10,000 clients, or your product that you are selling it to 10 from 10 products to 10,000 products. Okay, so and he in the growth hypothesis means you cannot be a wrong, and you have to also think of your like for example, many of these brands, Flipkart has been taken by the Walmart. Many of you have been known. Now, why they have this? That is also one kind of an viable, buyback startup. Now, there was a story about a Flipkart, and I will be telling you in a growth hypothesis what has happened in as a case study for you, many of you people. Now, this Bansals of Flipkart, Binny Bansals and other Bansal, they both are not brothers. First of all, they were the ex-employee of Amazon. So they thought of coming back to India and start up like online bookstore. Like, and because they definitely have read the how Amazon has started and how they get inspiration from that. And once they have left it, they have a little bit of success in it. People normally, when they left the organization, they talk to their employers. They were connected with Amazon. Now the initial plan was they will set up a small e-commerce company in India, and Amazon will come to India and acquire that company. That was the initial plan of Flipkart. But what happens is, like when they were scaling up, they have done the growth hypothesis so well or operate it so well that they become so huge that Amazon refused to buy it, and then later sell it to, then they later sell it to Walmart. Reason being, so why they have sell it? The reason was a burn down rate. You have to be very much like all the big $1 billion sales that you receive. They are, these sales happens from the investor's money. So in the investor cannot pour all the money all the time. So to make a market valuable, there is a theory of bigger fool theory in finance. So you have to sell that product, and what will happen later? This Flipkart will come as an IPO in the secondary market, and the real people will, like it has happened for Zomato, Paytm, same thing will happen to Flipkart also. So this is how, if you go with your like, if you do not take your money very well, manage your money well, and give us discount and burn your cash flows, you will not be sustainable. You have to either think of selling your organization and making money out of it. Otherwise, you have to leave it. Now, there are some ecosystems. I talked about incubation twist little bit. In a startup world, the ecosystem that works are, participants are like industry associations like NASSCOM, government like Government of India here in, if we talk of Indian perspective, knowledge, there was some academics like IITs, IIMs, your college. So they are like organizing these types of seminars, and the industries like who sponsors different type of startup projects. Like many of these startups are being either partly purchased or funded by big organizations like uh, Wipro and Reliance, Tata's, so on. And there is a knowledge startups like knowledge partners, like if you are working on some niche sector, so niche skill sets or the industries, they come together and provide you that knowledge part or research as a societies, as an um, associations, they will provide you to help the startup. So all of them when comes together, then the startup ecosystems works. And these ecosystems, when I say that these startups are hubbing out in these 3-4 cities that I have talked earlier, so there all these 5-6 ingredients are coming up, and they form the startup ecosystems, because they are very strong out there. So academia is there, industry is there, government self is there. So they in Delhi, you will get all of them, and knowledge partners are also there. So that's the reason they succeed, and that's the reason many of the people, when they start up, they move to that location so that they can harness this, they can network with them, and they can get the direct help from this, from these ecosystems. Now coming the incubators. So incubator is what? So whenever you do a startup, I think incubator is nothing but an English word, incubation. Now incubator is what? When a baby is born, they are kept in a special closed climatic controlled environment for few hours, in some critical cases, few days, so that life support can be given to them. Nothing, no major problems happens to them. So there isn't like protecting him from lot of things, facilitating lot of things. So that is called an incubator. Similar thing is required for startups. So whenever you incubate, means you have an idea, you made a very basic prototype, but you do not have maturity in team building. Team building itself is very tough task. So you do not have a maturity in team building, you do not have a maturity in financing, you do not have a lot of legal aspects, you not need lot of stuffs that needed to be supporting you. So you apply for incubations. And the other slides that I was been showing to you is basically when you apply for a incubation or acceleration, they will actually interview you and shortlist you. So uh, all of these questions will be asked to you, and you have to know how to answer that questions and what are the most important aspects of this incubations. So during that phases, the accelerator, sorry, in incubations, they will provide you with different type of office places, because you might not have a office place. They will provide you with an high internet services. They will provide you, also help with you some technological mentorship of or infrastructures, like 3D printers, if you have some required for it, or computers or software applications, or knowledge professors or something. So they have an ecosystem connects ready. They will also help you out in your strategy buildings, how you wanted to build and how you have to go live in the next world. And accelerator are what? Accelerator is the next phase of after incubator. Now in incubator, you start up, you help in your convert your seed idea into a business or a startup. And in accelerator, once you have established a market, have a basic, then to expand it or to accelerate your growth, then comes the accelerator, the first initial part of the acceleration. Top incubators of India. There are many incubators in India, like more than 350 incubators. Some of them are Electropark, Indian Angel and Network, T Labs, NSIC is a government. Electropreneur Park is done by STPI. So that is also a government incubator. Indian Angel Network, they will connect you, help you in connecting with your financiers for angel financing. Now, I talked about like majorly you will get all these uh, facilities with the incubators or accelerators. They will actually help you or facilitate your entire ecosystems for your startups. They will directly connect you to industry so that you can also get some orders if provided. So it depends upon case to case basis. Uh, so I already covered this. You can get advisory, marketing assistance, different type of business certificates, everything you can, reaching out to banks, help get understanding all the government funds or schemes that can help you. Now, there are four different stages of institutions. Now, the incubation normally happens only for 5 years. You cannot go for incubator more than 5 years. So it is just like a place where you get an office and supported infrastructure. So how long can you stay in that place and in your startup journey? You can start up there for at least 5 years, means maximum of 1 to 5 years, uh, where you can run your and all the supports you will be getting. And there is a charge for incubators. Few of the incubators are free, few of them are sponsored, and few of them are charged. Uh, then is an accelerator. They help you to connect with more aggressive investors. So once you have passed it, the main purpose of accelerator is getting funding, basic funding. Once you get that basic seed funding or a funding, seed funding basically what we call it as an accelerator, then you move to an angel funding. Uh, that is not an incubation, and that is a continuous process. When we will be talking of funding, I will be explaining it to you. Sometimes what has happened here in India is incubation and accelerator are mostly operated in hybrid models. So there might be some cases where incubation and acceleration are together happening. So that is also one of the scenarios. So it because it is an hybrid model, so it won't be as long as in 5 years. When we say incubator, They are like helping you to make your decisions, teaching you all the aspects of startups, how to do businesses and all stuffs. In accelerator, you will not get that. In accelerator, you will get a superficial mentorship as well as connecting to the job, means to your potential client, and all rest have to be done by you. And you are already in business. Another reason is like if you could see the present scenario of Indian startup. Right now, we have reached about 1,000 startups. Sorry, 1,000 unicorns in overall in the world, and India has approximately 10% of them. Is the market is saturated? No, because if you look at the second chart, you can find that in Silicon Valley we have about 669 startups. In India, we have only 79 startups. So there's a lot of potential to grow here. This I already told you. And if you can see from this graph also that what was the scenario in 2010 at our time when we graduated, till now, how many investors? So there's money is pouring. More number of unique investors are coming into it. No, I already talked about this, like startup hubs, different type of startup. I mean, cities in which the startup hubs are there. Now I will be talking about like startup registration processes. Like in India, if you wanted to avail the benefit of startups, your company should not be less than 10 years old. And your revenue turnover should not be less than 100 crores. So definitely you can, if you meet these two criteria, then and your company definitely should be registered like private limited, public limited, all that, uh, different types. And then you have to go to the DPIIT website. I will show you. Okay. I will be showing you this later. This is government website where you can go and apply for a recognition certificate for a startup. Once you achieve this certificate recognition applications from there, and there are many organizations that can help you out also, like I tell you, India Feelings Theatre, Clear Tax, lot of organizations or online portal. Even if you don't want it, you can directly go to the websites and directly apply. It's very simple, self-explanatory. So you can go out there, you will get a recognition number. Once you receive that recognition number, you can be away, use that recognition number uh, to take benefits that about different government schemes, the benefits and the funds that governments provide you. Now, legal entities that are required for startups are these all, like whatever you see it in bullet points, not on the right hand side. So public limited, private limited, joint venture, partnership. Even if you do not, if you are a sole proprietorship, like a one-person company, then also you can consider yourself as a startup. Even an NGO can also. Now, whenever you decide your startups, you have to also decide like in which model or which how you going to operate. Your product is either business to business, so your product directly selling to some business organization, so that is called B2B. If your business is directly selling to consumer, so end user is consumer, then it is a B2C. But in B2C, you are not directly selling your product to your consumer, but rather you have in wholesalers, distributors. These are all are the layers in between. And if you are directly selling your product to your customer, then you are directly, it's called a D2C businesses. Now, the most important thing that you might be, many people ask me, about the funding. So Five, basically you get an equity funding, like give a share to the company. If you fund yourself, it's called kind financing, and if you somebody sponsor you, it's called kind financing. If people fund it through crowdsourcing or crowdfunding website, it's called crowdfunding. And if it is funding by yourself, it's called bootstrapping. And these are the stages in which your funding will happen. Like initial the seed funds, risk is high, you will get a low funds, and later you will be moving to the angel funding, because whenever angel funds are like means small funds, uh, whenever your risk is very high, and when you want for an expansion, you go to venture capital investors. Let me tell you all about this, like different type of startup, seed, funding, growth, and exit. Now, there are cases in which your company does not run. Then only way in which you can get a funding is like you have a disruptive technology that is very high income. Sorry, disruptive technology means that will disrupt the traditional way in which the businesses or things work, like online e-educations. These are all disruptive technology. Something like IoTs, this is a disruptive technology. So something that will very innovative and changing the way we live in or operate. Such kind of technology are very now. It's very important that you do not very aggressively raise fund. From this, you spend it, because if you expand it with go means raise your products or execute your product and spend it, go expand yourself very for funding, like too many things, it's going to not lead you to funding. If you are very stagnant and not increasing your product base, stagnant, then also so you have to be slow and steady rise to release this funding. And after a period pre-funding, there are rounds of funding which are also called as a series A funding, series B, series C fundings. Like it can go to run number round one funding. So in every round you dilute your stakes, or the co-founders and the founders dilute their stakes to get some funds out of the company. And it's normally goes from A to E, like 5 round of funding after your seed funding or angel funding. But in some cases, you can have a 10 rounds of funding. So that means that you don't raise all your funds in a single go. You are staggering your fundraising in stipulated amount of time. Now, once you raise, when you raise your funds, there is a how you going to raise. One of the most important questions that will be asked to you is like how much fund means how much equity you are going to dilute to get a amount of capital that you are required. For example, you are giving an 100, wanted to take about an 1 crore of rupees for 1%. That means your company is valuing about an 100 crores stake. So how to value that? There are different types of models. These are very complicated models. I will explain you just the thumb rule. The amount of earning that you are making, first of all, maybe once you are operating in profit little bit or break even, then only you will be getting a chance of funding. Otherwise, you need to have a very solid networks to get a funding. So, or a book value. If you are not operating on funding, earning a break even, then the book value. So you can at least ask for 4 to 5 times in initial round. You to ask for 4 to 5 times the book value of your funding. So that's how you now. As of now, this is a government data that we need to put up in these type of seminars like webinars. Like we have a 4,000 plus startups. Right now, it is about a 40,000 startups and 10,000 crores of crore has been sanctioned in the infrastructure. 828 was later, but right now it has been revised to 10,000 crores in various schemes. So benefits, when I say it, you get a recognition, startup recognition, the benefits that you will be getting legal support. You can exit. Let's say you started your organization and you fail, then you can close your company around 90 days. Uh, you will get a credit guarantee with by from the banks and other. So funds from SIDBI is also like 2,500 crores. And you will also not be asked for an inspections, licenses, uh, and you will also not be asked for income tax for. Earlier it was 3 years, right now it is 5 years. So impact, like now what I've said, like the main impact is the job from the government point of view. From the startup or the co-founder point of view, it's the lucrative money. Different types of plans that you need to make while you go for an this incubations. You have to be ready with all these types of plans like business plans, marketing, and you can get all the informations about this uh, pre pre-made template out of this, and you should be very much uh, you can get a very good templates out of this all these documents or the plans that I'm talking about from the internet. So you can take the template, make your own documents so that your ideas are much more clear with you. And the other aspects was like most things that you have to do is the most type of analysis is the most analysis. Like mission, you have to be very clear on the mission objective, uh, strategy and tactics, SWOT analysis like strength, weakness, or toss. Pestle is very important in which environment you are working, like political environment in which you are working, economics, environmental, social, technical environment, and legal framework in which you have to operate. So you have to very much look all the, and have to also understand what are the gaps, like team gaps, skill gaps, technological gaps, product gaps. So you have to do very good all about this. This will and the key ingredients for the success for any startups are lot of things. Strong management, value. If you don't give value to the customer, nobody is going to take. Growth, scalability, how your organization and the key performance indicators, that is also very important. And there are different business models. Uh, you have to make doubt before you, when I say the business models, you have to think about distribution, office spaces, entertainment like how emotionally you are connecting the price cost with the people and the generate, how you're going to resource people, the softwares and technologies that you need, sales, how you are going to take your first sales to 1,000 sales. Now, if I sum up everything, then I can only sum up in the thing. The timing is important. You have to understand the opportunity. You have to understand the team commitments, like you have to, and the scalability. If you are not scalable, then it's not in startup. And I actually all the tips I have said it on the slides also, like persona. Two things that here I wanted to say it, like whenever you decide your startup, always evaluate like how much, what is your entry and exit barriers. Like if anybody new person can how fast they can copy your business, is they can copy your business easily, or you will have an advantage. You have to understand and evaluate and be agile. That means you do not have to be understand you have to not to optimize everything in your first go. You have to do it in iterative way. So do it one step at a time and be exhaustive and be lean. When I say lean, that means that do not get influenced with everybody. Just take the minimum things that is required for your startup. That's it. If you otherwise, if you take lot of important then important things, then it will not work out. You cannot able to cope up with the because of your limited resources. And finally, you should give a try, because some important quotes by somebody. And I thank you here. You can contact me if you have any question. Do you have any?
Sir, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
So what concept we have to keep in mind for starting in incubation?
Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
What concept we have to keep in mind for starting incubators?
When you say concept,
Sir, I will give the answer of this. You doesn't require the concept. You doesn't require to move out from your world. आप जो भी एक छोटा सा भी कुछ इनोवेटिव पर आपका डेडिकेशन होना चाहिए, उसमें आपके सिंसियरिटी होना चाहिए, आपका टीम वर्क प्रॉपर होना चाहिए, and you must have some amount also. So by that you are able to do it. Amount doesn't require. Amount is the last thing. Your dedication must required.
yes, that's the reason I told you the three stories in the beginning
Yeah.
of
There was
this.
one chain here in Bhopal also, Sagar Garage. In the starting, is supplying juices, fruit juices in 10 number store by simple in cycle soup pala.
No, I
And
was.
then after that, it was now they are having 6 to 7 franchise in Bhopal itself.
I was in Bhopal in 2017. Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was in Bhopal in 2017. Just for a month of time, means not. So my friend take me to Sagar Girai and had a sandwich. So I asked him, like, what you are giving me, just one sandwich. Then he said me like, okay, you want to order two. I can't able to finish there one side.
Typical and very good taste of Sagar Girai.
Yeah,
very good.
Was very good.
Yeah. In comparison with others, if we can do it.
Yes.
It's a very good. Even the soup was very good. And many things was there in their menu, and the taste is very typical and very good. We all like. Even the student will like our.
Yes, I think from Indore only, from in Madhya Pradesh, there was one concept called MBA Chaiwala. So you can start anything. What you have to only think is that you have to see the world. Some like how the Oyo started, like they face that when they go to, for example, there is no way in which you can pre-book a hotel earlier.
Yeah.
Centralized. So they make an online platform so that before you go, you don't need to search. They made it like using Google Maps, you can directly get a route and book, reach out there without any hassle. The rooms are clean and hygienic. So, and they are also budget friendly. So they find this type of opportunity and then they provide a solutions to it. So you have to also think about the solutions. That's it. And one question I would like to, before I finish, I just wanted to answer. I asked a question before the beginning of your, what, in which sector the McDonald's operate, or which type of organization is. No, McDonald's. Many of you have said like McDonald's is a fast food. It's what you go and eat there. McDonald's is not a fast food company. McDonald's is a real estate company. Uh, and I'm talking of the same McDonald's which sell their uh, burgers and pizzas. Not pizza, burgers and fries. Uh, and because I'm saying it like uh, they are a real estate company, is because for you people or for normal people, they say that they make money by selling, uh, make a value for their investors, uh, or make money for their investors by selling burgers, but they don't make money by selling uh, burgers. They make money by renting the or buying the prime locations shop, leasing out their shop stores. Uh, if you get any chance, go and watch McDonald's in Amazon's OTT platform. There's a documentary about an Amazon's McDonald's K-Row. You will get understand. For example, many of you have gone through CCD, Cafe Coffee Day. Now they charge 500 rupees for a cup of coffee. So it looks like they're selling a coffee, not a coffee. They are selling their space for you. So it's not always what you see is that they are selling. Sometimes, for example, you go with coffee doesn't cost 500 rupees even in Taj. So if you go there in Cafe Coffee Day places and uh, buy a coffee, you can sit for 2 hours, access their internet. They're actually charging it for you for that services. Uh, but they are positioning their product in different way. So that's the reason. So it's important. See the problem, see your customer who is going to buy your products and services, and position your product in some different way. So now they are positioning to the youth, high income youth who goes to, or the youngsters whose parents are super rich, they go to the CCDs and other stuff quite often. For them, 500 bucks is nothing. So they are selling it, but how can, if they will position it like you come here and sit for uh, for 2 hours and you pay 500, nobody is going to, means youngster will not be paying it. It will not appeal to them. So they put it a coffee and sell that space. So this is how they positions their product too. So this is, I think this will answer your questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for answering my question. Now I would like to ask next question on behalf of student. How to measure the growth of setups, especially in reference to under incubation process? How to measure the growth of setups, especially in reference to under incubation process?
See, different kind of startups have different kind of startup metrics. For example, like if you go to a revenue-based startup, first of all, when you go and up in your incubation processes, what you wanted to achieve, you have your 5 years time. Like I will grow to 1,000 subscriber if you have a SaaS startup like software as a services, to 1,000 or 10,000 service provider, or n number of peoples will be coming to my websites, or so you will gauge that as an benchmarking. Number one way. Number two way is that how your competitors are doing it. Let's say your competitors are, you are in a sector in which your business is differentiated from your competitor, but it is more or less same. For example, let's take a case of Meesho. Now, Flipkart is there, Amazon is there. Now Meesho is also operating, but Meesho is like they will be doing it in some different way. Like they are not charging sellers the marketplace fee what is charged by uh, mm, Amazon and Flipkart. So if you become a seller in Amazon, and more of your margin goes away. So if they wanted to onboard lot of uh, direct Indian sellers into their platforms. So how many number of sellers they have got, how many number of visitors they are coming. Now they are not making revenue. See, they are not making revenue as of now. They can't grow. Okay, I am making about 10% of profit, 20% of profit, 30% of profit. So they are not doing that. So they will define their metrics. Different startups will have a different type of metrics. You will be surprised to know most of the like e-commerce platforms or online aggregator platforms are measuring how many visitors are coming to their sites. They also measure this. And I am saying that, okay, we are reaching to 10,000 visitors. Out of 10,000 visitors, 100 are sales. So what is the growth rate at which they are growing? They are growing at a rate of 10% month by month, 20% month by month, how much 100% annually or 200% annually. So they have to think it in this fashions. How much is your bounce rate? So if you are in startup right, they are coming to your website and then moving back to, they are leaving your website very within 5 seconds or 20 seconds. So they are called the bounce rates. So what is the bounce rate? What is the conversion rate of your customers? Like in sales, there is a process called marketing qualified lead. So you do a marketing for your product and services, but you get a generate lot of traffics out of it. Out of all that leads, all of leads are not qualified for you according to your target market. That then you call a number, you get a number called MQL, that is marketing qualified lead. After that, marketing qualified lead, these leads will be, data will be handed over to a sales team. Now then, out of that, they are marketing qualified but cannot be converted to sales. Now approachable to sales data or the people data, there is a called SQL, that is sales qualified lead. So there is a, like if there is a 10,000 marketing qualified leads, now that leads has been 80% of them are qualified as a sales, 20% is the drop rate. Then after sales, there happens you close the sales, then out of like 8,000 data leads, you convert to about 800 leads. So that the way this is conversion rate, overall conversion rate. So different businesses have different type of uh, data. So how much traffic is your convert bringing into your website, if it is a SaaS web, how much conversion rates that you are making from marketing to your final sales conversion. If your model is on subscription based model, so how many subscriber you are growing. If it is a ad revenue, how much ad revenue are increasing in, and what drive, for example, impressions or visibility, how long your customer is with you and loyal to you, that is customer lifetime value or customer loyalty points. That is also going to CLV, that is one of the most important criteria. So this is also these types of metrics that depends upon business to business. This is exactly okay. Another, if you want it, like you go and search startup key metrics in the Google, and you will get all number of matrices, and most of them uh, of these type of will, all of them will not suit for same businesses. Different business will have different kind of matrices, and this is where the incubator and accelerator comes and helps you. This is what they prepare you, they help you, because they know what are the strategy, what is your margin, margin, what is your top line growth, what is your bottom line growth, bottom line, how much you can optimize your bottom line, that is cut down your waste. So these types of matrices investors looks, or even an incubator during the incubation processes, they also look. They look this because they wanted to know. They just don't invest on your businesses; they also invest on you. So one of the key important area, how knowledgeable. That's the reason, like people from tier 2 cities or from non-startup cities find it more difficult to get funding from the people who were in the startup hubs and the people who are from IITs, because uh, let's say IITs and IIMs, the people, they get funding little relatively easy because people have more faith on them, because they say that like they know most of the things, they are ahead of, they are considered as a cream layer, so they are considered, they are giving a preference over, but it is not an hard and fast rule. All you need is the dedication and good startup idea, sustainable and persistence. If you perceive or hang on to a quite a long time, uh, then you will succeed. I know many people out there. Even say the IIMs people from IIMs, like what Kaushendra and Irfan Alam, they were both rejected for funding. Even they are from IIMs. So it's not an, even though they are well-known personalities as of now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable insights and for the profoundly informative session. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Soni, ma'am, to conclude the session with vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
On behalf, thank you, Nikita. Thank you, Soumya Chatterjee, sir. On behalf of an IS University, I, Dr. Anita Soni, conclude this session, and thank you, sir. I hope you all had enjoyed this session. I also thanks to our and thanks and deep gratitude to our Honorable Chancellor, sir, Engineer B.S. Yadav, sir, who has provided never-ending encouragement and guidance for this organizing such type of a session. Really, sir, a very fruitful session given by you, and that is very interesting. Even nowadays, Atal and IS under ISC activities and many other government organization and private organization helping to the innovative cells. Thank you to the management, IS management, and thank you to everyone. Thank you, Nikita, for organizing such a beautiful session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
everyone.
Very
Thank
good
you.
and very innovative session. I think, sir, this is the first time in this chat box nearby. I'm seeing there is 50 messages. First time I'm seeing. And all are saying very good, very innovative session, very fruitful session you are given, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I will call you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bhupen, sir.
Thank you, all of you. Stay safe. Stay tuned with IS University.